What's up, man?
Hey, nice to meet you, Myron.
You.
I had a couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, I think you contradict yourself a decent amount.
Sure.
You had mentioned that you wanted to repeal the 19th Amendment, and then
Yep.
your reasoning for that was that women don't have skin in the game.
Yep.
However, when someone had mentioned if your thoughts would change if women did have skin in the game, for example, that they would be accepted into the draft, you said that you wouldn't want women in the military.
You weren't listening. I said that if they had some type of government service or whatever, then obviously, I think at that point, then yeah, them being able to vote would make sense because they have skin in the game.
Okay.
But in general, most women don't have skin in the game, so that's why I don't think most of them should be able to vote. I think for men, it's given. For women, they have to earn it to vote.
Don't you think instead of repealing the 19th Amendment, it would make more sense to let women get this skin in the game, these government services?
Well, the problem is that a lot of the times they don't. Women overwhelmingly choose career fields that, are social in nature, right? They don't necessarily deal with certain job fields that the government might require.
But you don't promote them either. Like,
I'm sorry?
You don't promote this. Like, why isn't this part of your platform?
Well, why do women choose these careers?
Why don't you promote women not choosing these careers and instead choosing government services?
I do. Well, here's the thing. I do, but the reality is that women just are interested in different things than men a lot of the times. So what ends up happening is like they just choose certain career fields because that's what they want to do. Because we're inherently and biologically different.
Okay, then the other contradiction I wanted to point out was that you complain a lot about women not being smart. You say they're dumb. And then you say that they should limit their education because their primary role should be in the family.
You're totally mischaracterizing every single position I've given. I don't think you've been listening.
Could you elaborate then?
Yeah. What I said was I don't think women should be prioritizing education over the pursuit of a man and a family. That's what I said.
So they should still be educated?
I'm sorry?
They should still be educated.
Look, like I said before, I don't have a problem with them, attending school and having some kind of backup. But the problem is that becomes the primary focus. That's my problem with it.
Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to mention was how I'm not trying to mischaracterize your argument, so...
Yeah, it's okay. It'll only be the third or fourth time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You had said that women who are promiscuous, that's the reason that they deserve less, because they're slutty.
Absolutely.
And they sleep around.
Never wife up whores.
So would you agree that people who don't do that don't deserve less?
Women that aren't promiscuous?
Yeah.
So regular girls?
As much as men, yeah.
Yeah, they still deserve less too. Yeah, they still deserve less too. And the reason why I say this is because I don't want guys to fall into the trap and be a simp. Look, this is going to sound fucked up, but I'm going to say it. Women are terrible fucking people when they have leverage over you in a romantic relationship. I'm going to say that again. Women are terrible fucking people when they have leverage over you in a relationship. I'll give you an example. Let's say you move in with a girl, right? You're staying at her spot, you're crashing there, whatever. You're not paying any of the rent, she's trying to help you out, whatever. As the days progress, she's going to become more annoyed, more bitchy, and agitated with you. Rightfully so, because women don't respond favorably to lazy men, okay? Because their attraction circuitry is based around a guy that can provide security. You sleeping on her couch every day is inherently going to turn her off. Now, let's flip the roles. Let's say you have an apartment and she crashes at your spot, right? Are you going to get as annoyed with her as quickly? Probably not, because men have far more tolerance for creating resources for women and children than women do, right? Like, men are designed to create excess resources, not just for themselves, but for their family. Women aren't built that way. So, and this is something that a lot of guys don't understand. And they buy into this egalitarian mindset that men and women are the same. They're not, dude, at all.
And where are you getting this information from?
It's a biological reality.
You think women are just naturally less tolerant to putting up with people's stuff?
Yes, women are far less tolerant of incompetent men that can't produce and protect and provide. Yes.
Do you have any studies for that?
What was that?
Do you have any studies for that, or you're just pulling that out of the air?
I mean, it's a biological fact. You can countless psychology books on this. Women prioritize security, right? And men prioritize replication. So women prioritize survival value from the guy. Can he protect and provide for me? And then men prioritize replication value. Is she hot? Very simple.
But it was nice.
I mean, let's be honest here, dude. When you're out with a girl, if she tells you, if you meet a girl and she's like, you ask her, hey, what do you do for work? And she says, oh, I'm unemployed or I'm homeless. Are you really going to give a shit? No, if she's hot, you're going to still try to bang her. But if you flip the roles and you tell her you're homeless, she's going to lose an enormous amount of attraction for you.
I hope that most men wouldn't want to marry someone who's unemployed.
You're missing my point.
But I'm not. I think it applies to both sides.
What I'm trying to say is that your ability to provision is a large part of what makes you attractive, and a woman's ability to provision, we don't give a shit. No guy ever says, what's your degree? oh, you got a master's? My dick is hard. No guy ever. No one cares.
It was nice talking to you.
Hey, it's the truth, man. Hey, what's up?
I was curious, where do you get your generalizations from? Because you're kind of talking...
On what topic specifically?
Well,
I said a lot.
yeah, I gotcha. You're kind of talking about, like, it seems like to me you've spoken to every single woman on the planet. Because I know myself as a person, and I am antithetical to everything you're describing as
Okay,
being
so
a
you would
woman.
identify as a feminist, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
I think women deserve rights.
Okay.
So my question that you haven't answered
go ahead.
was, how do you get your generalizations if you haven't spoken to every single woman on the planet? Because personally, I believe that stereotypes are incredibly harmful and not productive. Oh, yeah. What, your response? No,
I'll
go
let you
ahead.
finish
just
what you had to
laughed.
say.
Yeah, that's what
You're
I
done?
had to say.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is another, like, progressive ideology that's kind of retarded, and I'll explain what I mean by this.
Okay.
Stereotypes typically are rooted in
Very
fact,
nice. Very-
right? Like, that's what it is, right? Like,
Very helpful.
if you're walking down the street at night and you see, like, 3 black dudes walking towards you with Nike fleeces on, you're probably going to cross the street because you don't want to get mugged, right? If you want to hire a lawyer after getting arrested, you're probably going to hire a Jewish lawyer, right? Asians are going to be good at math and do your algebra homework. So it's like...
So you've
there's-
spoken to every minority on the fucking planet?
Okay, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule.
Right.
But the world operates on generalities. So that's just how it is. Actually, you know what? This is interesting. This is something that women have a tough time understanding, actually. I'm glad. This is a perfect example of what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So women have a problem with generalities, especially if it doesn't apply to them. So, like, let's say, for example, I say something like, yeah, a lot of these girls are sluts, or a lot of these girls are dumb. A girl will say, well, I'm not. Like, okay, cool. But that still doesn't override the fact that a majority are. So...
What? What is
generalizations
your data?
Generalizations is how the world works.
Right, but where is your data? I'm asking for where you get
Okay,
those
what specific point do you have a
generalizations.
contention with that you want me to...
I don't think all girls are sluts. Or
I
most
never said all girls are
I'm
sluts.
sorry. I don't think most girls are sluts.
A lot of them are.
Okay, I would love your argument.
Okay. So women, right, have way more sexual access than men do. Okay?
How so?
What was that?
How so?
Because women are still getting laid while men don't. So what does that show? That shows that women are having sex with the same small percentage of guys, pretty much. Like, their
But where are you getting this information? Because I
There's many
pull
different- there's-
anecdotal information out of my ass,
There's many
too.
different studies that show this, whether it's like the Family Studies Institute or which deals with female promiscuity or whatever. The point is, I'm trying to say is that women have more sexual access than men, and since they have more sexual access to men, they're far more likely to be promiscuous, and a lot of girls are promiscuous. Now, is that every single girl? No. But I do think that men need to adapt to the new normal where a lot of women are promiscuous, and you probably don't want to commit to these girls long-term as a guy because that's going to create problems for you. Because we've seen studies where the higher a woman's notch count, right, or sexual partner history, the higher the likelihood of divorce or a failed marriage. Because women don't respond the same to sex as men do. For us, it's like taking a piss. For you guys, it's like, a big deal.
Okay, great generalization.
Because
So
women
what-
have far more biological investment in sex. You guys can get pregnant. We don't. So that's what I'm trying to say.
So what would you say to men committing the most violence and sexual violence in America? Like how does that play into women?
That's
like,
a completely different topic.
how so? Because you're talking about how woman bad this, woman bad that, woman slut.
I never said woman bad.
Do you don't think your rhetoric like perpetuates that? Like you don't think like the culture of men are agreeing with your points and going out and making these generalizations of saying I hate women. Women
see-
deserve less.
Yes, and that's precisely what women respond favorably to. Yes.
Right. So that's your only generalization you're going to.
Yeah, women don't respond favorably to nice guys. So therefore, when you meet a girl
Okay,
and you're seeing her, you
I
can't
would
give her
love
everything
your
and
argument
pedestalize her.
for that.
I'm sorry?
I would love your argument for that.
That nice guys finish last?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking? Like nice guys finish last?
Yes, I would love to hear it.
Okay. I mean, I think it's kind of common sense that
Common
nice
sense,
guys
that's
get
not
friend
an
zoned.
explanation.
What was that?
Common sense isn't an explanation.
Okay.
Like, just get to the point, please.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
I have a job. I know you don't like that, but
You should be in a kitchen somewhere. That'd be a good job.
Yeah.
But anyway.
see, like everyone laughing at that. Like you don't think that's an issue?
Because you're just not accepting like a very. This is like common sense.
Common sense.
Nice guys don't do well with women because nice guys pedestalize females. This is repulsive because women don't want a guy that pedestalizes them.
So-
they want a guy that they're chasing the validation of. They want a guy who feels better than them. So if I meet a girl and I pedestalize her and give her everything off rip, that implies that I see her value as higher than mine.
How?
And that is completely unattractive
How
to
is
females.
treating someone with kindness? You're mistaking that.
I'm not
for
saying not to be. I'm
simping.
not saying not to be kind. I'm saying don't give her the world and be a simp. Big difference.
What do you see as giving a girl of the world?
Contacting her too much, taking her out on expensive dates right away, giving her money, any of this stuff. Like, see, and this is the thing. Since you're a female, you don't understand these dynamics
woman.
because you don't have to deal with women. But for guys, this is a very real dynamic where guys have to come into a relationship and preserve attraction by not being a nice guy. Because women don't
That's
respond
not
favorably to nice
true.
guys.
I
What you
have
say you
dated
want versus
men.
what you respond
I
to.
can use anecdotal evidence as well. And, when I've dated or spoken to men, I prefer the men who don't give the bullshit rhetoric that you give.
Okay, so you dated nice guys before.
I've dated kind men, yes.
Okay, so where are they now then?
Where are they now? Living their lives?
Exactly.
I
Point
have
proven.
one right now. Like
Point proven. Like
no, it's not a point proven because
Point
you
proven.
have value differences. Doesn't mean that I said, oh,
Value
wow,
differences.
they're an awful man because they took me out on expensive dates and I feel like that someone should value me less. Like what? Why is that? Why should I believe that?
That's fine. Look, you don't have to believe what I'm saying.
I know.
Because you're not a man. But once again,
How does that
privilege is
go?
invisible to those that have it. You don't understand what it takes to be attractive as a guy because everything is handed to you as a female. You don't have to worry
Not
about
everything is handed to me as a
approaching,
female.
learning to be attractive, making a bunch of money, having status, having a commanding voice, speaking in an active voice. Like this is stuff that women don't have to worry about.
Do you
or
think
learn.
I have men at my feet like paying my rent and giving me an education and giving me job opportunities?
Well, the point is that you can. It doesn't mean that you're
That's not true.
You okay? Really?
If it were true, every woman would be going through that.
A lot of them do. Now, just because you don't seize the opportunity doesn't mean that other women don't do it, or better yet, that they don't have the opportunity. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you can. That's the big distinction. You
Okay.
can.
I have been rage baited by you for about an hour, and your arguments have zero substance. So enjoy
Zero
your
what?
sandwiches.
Zero what you said?
I will be gone.
Okay, there you go. It's triggered women as usual. All right. What's up, man?
Hey, so I think the general consensus about like your demographic, maybe like men like college age, like who we have here. And my question is, what are your opinions on modern day behaviors that are generally considered masculine, like hopping on steak, doing peptides, doing hopping on gear, and yeah, just counterproductive behaviors that are technically considered masculine that are being reinforced by social media.
Are you talking about men
yeah, about
in
men.
particular?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am anti-gambling, anti-drug. I don't think men should use steroids ever. It's just not worth it. Gambling is the worst. Alcohol, no. Weed, no. I mean, people might say I'm straight edge or whatever, but yeah, I don't believe in gambling, drugs, alcohol, or any of that bullshit. It'll just ruin your life. And as a guy, you can't afford to not be productive. Like your sexual market value as a guy is based on your productivity, your ambition, and your future. Like doing all that stuff will just, hinder you.
Okay. And my last thing is I've noticed like your tone towards women is sort of aggressive, but I just want to put it out there that we are all sinners. God made us perfect, but it was part of our own will that we became imperfect when Adam ate the apple. And the greatest gift to man was God giving his son to die on the cross for us. And I just want to put it out there that Jesus loves you.
All right. Well, don't forget that Eve took the apple and fucked it all up for all of us. So don't forget that either. What's up, man?
Hey, Myron. I just want to say thank you for people like you, Nick, Sneeko, Justin Waller, for being an inspiration for young men in today's society. I think that what people take out of your podcast and they clip it and they make something bad of you, but I think what you're doing is amazing in today's society, and we need more people like you. And also, what would you say about like colleges promoting, fraternities based on degeneracy and, just like getting people to go out at their prime ages of 18, 19, 20 to go out and binge drink and just kind of just waste their years away in college and go down a very dark path?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who went to college myself, I was an athlete in college. That kept me away from a lot of the bullshit. But yeah, I mean, we have to be honest that college is, for a lot of people, not all, but for a lot of students, is just an acceptable way to spend 4 years being a degenerate, right? Yeah. So I think for the guys, in such a competitive marketplace, guys really need to get on their P's and Q's in a very competitive job market. Degrees aren't going as far as they were before. Inflation is through the roof. I mean, I remember when I went to school, oh man, I'm showing my age here. I went to Northeastern in Boston. It was like $35K a year. Now it's like 70 to 80K. And I was like, I graduated in 2013. I'm really showing my age here. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I think guys can't really afford to fuck up in college nowadays. Yeah. And do you since it's so expensive.
Do you think it's a control mechanism for people to, fit into society by getting hazed and,
Say that again. Do I think it's a what?
Oh, a control mechanism for people to join a frat and do degeneracy things to fit into society.
We have so many things in society that are control mechanisms, like watching sports, gambling, drugs, alcohol.
What do you call praising men that you've never even met in your life and wearing a jersey number or wearing a jersey that if you were in the hospital, let's say, and you cheer and you scream and you rant for these players, they wouldn't even pay your hospital bill. I mean, so what are you doing screaming and ranting about players that would never even give a fuck about you in the first place?
That they want you to be plugged into the matrix, right? They want you to have a job where you make just enough to survive, so you can go drink on the weekends, have your Budweiser as you're watching a game, do the same thing over and over again, and not really look at the world at, how it really operates. So, it's a slave mind, dude. Yeah. As my buddy Andrew Tate says, you got to resist the slave mind. And unfortunately, a lot of guys have the slave mind.
And my last question, would you also say processed foods like ingredients such as canola oil, corn syrup, and other ingredients are dumbing people down and also basically controlling them at the same time?
Yeah, there's a multitude of things that are making people stupider. The internet, social media usage. A lot of guys have problems with communicating and getting their thoughts out there effectively. COVID, I think, accelerated that, made it worse. But yeah, there's just so many things that have made people stupider. You can make arguments about the food. We don't really, having higher IQ isn't considered cool. A lot of times, you're a nerd. So there's so many different things that play into why people are stupider.
I just want to say, 100 years ago, if you were to say these things, it would be socially acceptable.
Oh yeah,
it's just clown world what we live in today. But
yeah, I feel sorry for you guys because you guys are growing up kind of in a woke era, dude. I remember when we used to be able to call people faggots and nobody cared. Yeah. But nowadays it's oh God.
Last thing, sorry. Do you think in 10 to 15 years, you think you'll see an increase of expansion to Eastern Europe in terms of Poland and
we did see a little bit when Trump came into office. We did get some more free speech.
No, I'm talking about people moving to Eastern Europe in terms of more freedom, and you don't really have these policies as you do in the West, as you do in Eastern Europe or more.
Say that again. You're really low.
Moving to Eastern Europe where there's actually more freedom in terms of countries like Poland and other right-leaning countries.
You're saying we have more freedom than them?
No, I'm saying do you think people will be moving there in the next 10, 15 years? In terms of also real estate going up in value in terms of those countries.
Yeah, expatriates is a growing thing, dude. Yeah. The passport bro movement is real. Yeah. Guys are definitely getting the fuck out of America. Yeah. That's very, very real. Yeah. And I've seen it explode over the past 10 plus years. I remember when Rouge V was writing books on it. Mm-hmm. Now it's the norm, dude. Being a passport bro used to be a very niche underground thing. Mm-hmm. Now it's in the mainstream, dude. All right. So, yeah.
Thank you, Myron. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Thank you.
Myron, we got a insult shut over here. Good to speak to you. Earlier you said that you think that men should be able to cheat. I actually think that adulterers should be hung in the streets. I don't. Maybe at worst, life in prison. But I don't. Especially if you have children involved. I think no matter who's doing the cheating and the person who is. If you're getting with someone who's married and you're single, you should also be punished in that sense. This isn't what I wanted to Kim say, but I wanted to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, my thoughts are on this. Now, if you want to be monogamous I'm assuming you're coming from a religious perspective, right?
I am, yeah.
So, if you want to be monogamous for religious purposes and it's a choice, that's different. But my thing is, a lot of guys cope they're monogamous by force because they're afraid of their girlfriend leaving them or their wife. So, they end up being at her beck and call and they're terrified to lose her. My thing is, I want guys to be in a position where they can choose to be monogamous. And unfortunately, most men don't have that privilege. They're hanging on, to their relationship with their girl by, skin of their teeth. So that's my issue. I want guys to be monogamous by choice, not by force.
Okay. And what I really wanted to come up here and talk to you about is you mentioned earlier about repealing the 19th, and you think that men are granted the right to vote by birth and women should earn it. I actually think we should be more restrictive about that. I think that not everyone...
The right to vote?
Yeah, even if you're a man, I don't think you should necessarily be granted the right to vote. I think, like you said, you need to have skin in the game, and I wanted to know if you share that
you could
opinion.
have them take a civics test or something like that, but my bottom line is like, for men, cool, we could put parameters in there or whatever. My main thing is like, I just don't think women should have the automatic, ability to vote right off rip like they do right now, where they have no responsibility over, they have authority, but they don't have any responsibility to armed services.
Would you like to chat about where we should draw the line for just anyone for the right to vote as if...
I would say for men, you can implement maybe a civics test, maybe a year or two of mandatory military service. There's different things that you can do that you can explore.
What about people like that who still don't have as much of a stake in society, or they benefit from the degradation of society, even if they pass their civics test and they do their...
All right, so what parameters did you want to instill?
I believe that you should have children as a parameter to vote, because you already invested in the future of the society if you have a child, at least one. I think that you should have land as well. If you don't have a child, you should have a business, not necessarily land, but a business with at least 2 employees. And I think military service is a big one. If you're willing to voluntarily go into the military, I think that should give you the right to vote. But I don't think that everyone should have the right to vote.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, putting parameters on it, because there's a lot of dudes that are retards too.
Yeah.
But again, I'm starting like at base level 0.
Base level, yeah, because that's
obviously
where we are
you
right
can
now.
build up from there and add parameters on the male side too. But the point I'm trying to say is like at bare 0, like it shouldn't be women have the right to vote right there alongside a guy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.